What's up, YouTube? I'm going to be doing another one of these map breakdowns. Today is going to be Vertigo. And Vertigo, I want to start out by saying, is very similar to Mirage in a way. And I'll show you throughout this video why that is. But people generally have a tough time playing it just because the nature of the map is a lot different than other maps. That being the verticality of it. You can hear whenever the Ts are making rotates, pretty much any rotate between both bomb sites, the Ts can hear the CTs, the CTs can hear the Ts, which makes it a very, very weird map, which also kind of means that although the rotates are very short on this map, you can go from A main to B main in essentially like 5 or 6 seconds. You kind of have to play it like they're slow rotates, just because the CTs will be able to hear you. Same thing goes for the CTs. This rotate to B is extremely short compared to other maps, probably one of the shortest rotates on all the competitive maps in the map pool right now, but it's kind of hard to rotate through here because if you rotate quickly, the Ts will be able to hear you. With that being said though, there are ways that you can force rotates from the CTs. So let's use this for an example. The general default on T side on Vertigo is 3 towards A. So what a 3A default would look like is 3 players coming towards A. Generally, you want to have your opper towards A just because the nature of the long-range angles. In CS2, it is still viable to do a 3A default. Nothing has really changed on the map just besides the smokes. And whenever the CT smoke bottom ramp, there's actually a good chance that your opper can spot the walkout side hall. There's generally a big gap over here, so this is a way you can run your defaults with a high percentage of getting a pick. You just have to be aware that you can get peeked over the top of the smoke. Again, if we're thinking about percentages, this CT peeking over the smoke, this percentage is generally bad because he can see you, but you can also see him if you're playing one of these angles, which you will be playing more often than not holding side hall. So what a default would look like is some sort of smoke on the ramp, generally something like this, or a lurk smoke right here so that you can lurk into side hall and get a little one-way right here. You can look over to the top of it to crane. And yeah, it's a way of being proactive and making it look scary from the CT's perspective, right? If I'm a side hall player and I see this smoke, I'm like, well, shoot, the T can actually just walk into the smoke at any time and I won't be able to see him. He could be in that smoke right now. So that smoke just makes it really tough for the CTs, and that's been around since pretty much Vertigo was created. Now, the issue with going 3A on a T side is a lot of CTs will play 3A to try and block A or deny a ramp rush because ramp rushes are generally strong on Vertigo. You can get pretty close to the bomb site. By the time the CTs run with the fastest spawn over towards side hall, the T with the new spawns can be right here. So this is where you will meet the CT if you're RT, if you're rushing towards side hall. Now, because of this, if you get the kill on side hall, your reaction onto A can be extremely quick. Within 5 seconds, you can be on site, and if you have bomb, you theoretically could be planting. So the CT's job is to block a ramp rush at the very beginning of the round. Again, they can hear you the entire time if you are rushing A, so they have some time to prepare if you are doing so. That's why teams will generally sit around the ramp, just play a little slow, cut noise, and by cut noise, I mean you just go quiet, so now you're not giving the CTs any information. And now the CTs, since you're quiet at A, are going to be forced to rotate someone towards mid or B. And the reason for that is, let's take Mirage, for example. If you're quiet on middle, then chances are you're not towards middle. So then the CTs are going to rotate towards A, or they're going to play in mid to try and play for that control for the retake. You don't necessarily need all of mid to be able to retake on Vertigo. However, the concept that applies to Mirage is pretty similar to Vertigo. If you're quiet at A, the third A player is going to rotate towards mid. Now, he could either double mid with his teammate, or his teammate can rotate and double towards B. And generally what you'll see in pro play is if the A player rotates towards mid, he'll pick up mid from either like elevator or something, so he can rotate fast towards A, or just like CT, so that if you guys do a B wrap, then he will rotate over here, and he can help with B while there's still 2 B players, and this will generally be a pretty strong hold. What the B players will do once you double towards B is you'll see pretty commonly teams will do some sort of B reaggression. And this is when I was playing in ECL, this was like my favorite thing to do because I was the mid player. Whenever my team would get A and the mid player would rotate, I'd have 2 ways of reaggressing. So I'd come over here, and for the guy who's rotating in from A, I'd hold this flash. Once he gets close to the mid box, I'd throw this flash. And basically where it pops is it hits on top of this box. I'll throw it as a nade so you can see it. So it hits on top of this box and pops right there. It will blind anyone holding this angle. It will blind anyone outside here. And the best thing about it is they can't see it even from wide out mid. Just because the way I throw it from over here, this wall blocks it until it's close. And then by that time, it's too late. I've gotten my A rotate so many kills by doing this flash. And it's really, really simple. Something you could even bring into your pugs. The second kind of reaggression I would do when my mid player would rotate is I'd have him pick up mid from elevator, and I'd rotate towards B. Now, how you're going to do B reaggressions really depends on how your B player plays. Does he like playing aggressive? Does he like playing passive? Those things will all tie into it. If he likes playing passive, he can play someplace like triple. He can just sit here. Also, an important thing about this angle, this is something Taco would use a lot, Cloud9 would use a lot once they got, or Gambit would use a lot once they got really good at Vertigo, is their B player would sit here and he'd hold this angle.
Hi, this is Polo in the post edit right now, and I'm realizing I told you to hold up top. Do not hold up top. You should be holding through the grate to CB main. Once the players start coming up into a B execute, that's when you want to hold up top. But if it's quiet, you want to hold the grate because you will get peeked and shot through the floor if you don't.
The reason you hold this angle is because if anyone's coming up here to peek generator, they're generally going to peek from deeper just because the way angles work on CS, and they won't be looking at you triple. And generally when you have a player playing triple, you want to be playing towards default. The only thing about playing towards default is, one, you're playing bait, but two, the T's can actually boost up here and you won't be able to fight this angle. So basically what happens in this situation is if it's a higher level player, he might recognize that this is a shadow of a person, but if this person doesn't move, a lower level player might not see this and then continue to go up sight. What this will do is now when he crosses this angle, you'll be able to see him. You can now duck and like play around here, just try and play your life while this player gets the next contact. What he can then do is he can just turn and get this free kill. And now the situation that you're in is you have a guy triple. This area is clear. If they go B, now they have to fight a guy default and they have to fight a guy triple, which is extremely hard from the T's. And this is if you want your player to play generally more passive. You can also do a similar kind of bait setup where you have a guy quad and you do the same thing where you bait from default or you bait from over here. And if they molly your teammate quad, you can just throw a flash like this behind your quad guy and now he can get kills. And as the mid player on Vertigo, which is what I played for majority of my career, flashes are extremely, extremely important. Sometimes I would even come mid, I'd get my molly off mid, which is like the normal default utility, and I'd run over to spawn and I'd buy another flash because having two flashes is extremely important. One, once my teammate rotates in, I can throw that flash for him, and then two, if they also go B, I can also flash behind my B teammate. So your mid player is going to be generally your support player on this map. Now from a T side's perspective, while all of this is going on, this is when you could be taking ramp control because, again, there's only two people towards A. There's going to be one guy towards side hall generally, one guy towards ramp. Sometimes they'll double ramp. But basically what this means is one of the A players will always be isolated or there will always be a gap because if they're double over towards here, side hall is a gap. If they're 1-1, they're on islands so they can't help each other. This is what you want to abuse on Vertigo. How you can do that is you can try and take mid control. If you know the CTs are playing 3A early, that probably means there's only one mid, which means you can just put 3 towards mid, 2 towards mid, just make sure you get mid control. And a very common smoke to use on T side is this. And this is kind of the secret sauce to Vertigo that will win you a ton of games. This smoke spreads so that elevator can't hold this angle. If there's a rotate, he has to play out here to be able to spot over boost. You can throw this smoke, you can molly over boost. And then after that molly fades, there's a very, very big threat that you could be going over boost. This will almost always force a rotate from the A players, which allows you to then retake ramp control. How this would look on T side is you take mid control, and as soon as you take mid control, your teammates rotate over towards A. You throw this smoke, you throw a flash or something just in case they're re-aggressing, you molly over boost, and now you've taken all the information away from the CTs on mid, and now you have the proper numbers to retake A. While you're doing this, it's actually extremely important to let your B player know because, again, think of the re-aggression I was talking about. If you're playing against better players, once they get forced off mid, they'll say, okay, that's fine, we got forced off mid, now we'll take B main because your numbers are probably towards mid. And how the CTs can re-aggro B main is they can actually just walk up into these angles, which sounds a lot worse than it actually is, but it will actually catch a lot of players off guard. Or you can throw some sort of flash like this. This guy swings down the stairs, this guy clears underneath him, jumps up to clear this, and then you have B main. And this is how I feel that it's kind of a mix between Inferno and Mirage. Inferno is a lot of push and pull, and Mirage is a lot of play for this or play for this. And that's why Vertigo kind of is a mix between the two, because as far as mid and B go, you have to play for mid or you have to play for B. And as far as A goes, it's more of a push and pull for rotates on the T side. Something to also keep in mind is while you're doing the mid stuff, you can have a teammate bottom A. And if you're playing a lower level team, you'll be able to hear the A rotate towards mid, and that is your tell that now is your time to take A. How you could take A is you could, again, throw this smoke that takes off a lot of information, and you can also throw a flash like this, which is currently a meta, where you crouch over here, you left and right click, and you aim here, and this will pop over the box. It pops just under this wall, so the CTs won't be able to be ready for it. This will blind the side hall opper. This will blind anyone on ramp. And off of this smoke, this essentially gives you the space to walk up into side hall with the smoke up. And now once you get into side hall, there's a couple ways you can take side hall. You can try and take it alone, where you do a molly like this. You go into the sandbag, you aim here, and then you can throw a flash right here. You aim at this dot, and it pops like that. So this molly will force anyone who's holding side hall either away from side hall or into side hall, and that flash will just blind him. And because that flash pops behind you, you can actually throw this flash and peek with it into side hall with the flash going off. So he has to either be back turned to you while you're shooting him, or he has to stare in the flash and get blind and pray that he gets the kill before the flash goes off. Now, once you have side hall control, you have to worry about ramp aggression. That's why you'll see teams start doing Molotovs for sandbag, which is generally where CTs will kind of hide out if they're not playing on the ramp. After you molly sandbag, you know that that's clear. Now you have all of A control. This will almost always force 3 towards A. And this is what you call a default. This is what a default should look like on Vertigo. There are a couple little ways you can change it, tweak it, all that stuff. But generally, you're just going to be trying to play the rotates, figure out where the CTs are going, and then go to where they're not. Part of the nature of Vertigo, however, is that if the CTs use enough util early on the round, you can kind of abuse that by actually just going towards A. You can throw 2 smokes that completely block off the CT's vision on site. You can go into this corner, jump through this smoke, and now you have all of A site smoked off. And the reason why figuring out if the CTs have used util early and keeping note of what util they've thrown is because commonly when teams will play retake on A, they'll actually have a nade stack for the default plant, which is right here. And if the CTs generally know how to play off of A site, they will definitely know these nades, so you need to keep track of what nades they've thrown. The nades will generally look like this. You come into this corner, you aim at the top of the 6, you jump throw, and that will just destroy anyone on plant. You can also come back here, and the way that I line up this nade from back here is you want to find this little writing right here under the 2, come back here, aim a little bit underneath it, and throw, and it will just bounce off top of here, and again, do around 50 damage to the planner. Both of these nades can just completely nuke your planner and lose you the round. If you don't think the CTs have util, then you can just throw these double smokes, and you can take A site. I'm not going to go into all the ways you can take A site, but generally you want to throw a couple of flashes over this side, maybe flash for your side hall guy, something that looks like this. So it will blind anyone who's headshot, it will blind anyone who's close side hall, and then your side hall guy can come out and you trade out on anyone close, and then you have the bomb site. Now that we're done talking about A, we can go ahead and talk about B. Generally, how you'll see teams go B is they won't do an outright B hit. They will do some sort of mid pressure, maybe do a split from mid, or they will play it extremely, extremely late, throw a fake A execute with like 3 or 4 people sitting bottom B, and they'll walk into B when they think the B player is rotated off. This is something you'll see teams that play slower do, just because once you run down the clock, the B player will be like, okay, there's no way they're going B. There's like 20 seconds, 25 seconds left, and then you have all of B site for free. Now, for defaulting B, you have to keep in mind that if you're playing a good player, he's generally going to be solo towards B because teams will generally be 3 towards A, and there will normally be 1 mid guy. He won't leave mid open. So the B player will be trying to deny a B rush because he's alone. That will usually look like a molly on the stairs, a molly like this in B main entrance, and this will pop generally before the T's get here, which means you can't go into B main, you can't pressure the 1B guy, he's alone, but it doesn't necessarily matter because of the util that he's thrown. This is why you'll see teams not default anyone B sometimes, and the B player will actually double up mid. You can do mid pressure with 2 people. Once you do mid pressure, then the A players can go up because there's only 2 A, and then the B guy can go back to B if you don't want to do anything towards B, or the mid guy and the B guy can actually fall back because they did the mid pressure nades. The CT should be scared to push, and then the 2 mid players come over towards B and take B main together because, again, once you throw the mid nades, the mid guy is either going to commit to mid and try to hold that, or he's going to double towards B, and you can actually catch the B players off on some sort of re-aggression. You also have to consider the timings on this as well. Let's say the CT started in a 2-1-2 setup. They took B main early. They have 1 guy holding mid, and they have 2 people towards A. Once you do the mid pressure stuff, if you're going to go back into B and you think they're in a 2-1-2, you want to wait for the A pressure to go back into B main because think of the rotations. Once you do mid pressure, it might force a rotate from the A guy over into elevator, and now there's only 1 towards A. Now, once you start doing A pressure, now it might rotate both of the mid players back because now A is extremely weak. And because the mid player has left mid, now one of the B players has to go towards mid, and now there's a B guy isolated somewhere in B main. So generally, after all the util that you've thrown towards mid and A, B will be the weak point of the map. This is where you'll see teams go B. I think that's it for the video. Again, I've talked about it in previous videos where I generally go into the mindset of how to play the map, less the micro utility within the map. I will be doing videos later on about the utility and everything, but if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like, leave a sub. I will be uploading more content like this. I'll try to stay around 3 to 4 uploads a week. If you want to ask me any questions, go ahead and join my Discord. It's linked on my YouTube. Also, I stream Monday through Friday at 1 to 5 p.m. EST, so if you want to stop by there and ask me some questions as well, that would be awesome. I also do coaching on the side on my Metafy, which I do have linked on my Twitch. If you want to find it, you can come to my Twitch, just type !Metafy in the chat, and it will pop up with my Metafy. You can book a session. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.